is Radio Free Pro Wrestling, your home for smart and stunning wrestling debate with lifelong wrestling fans Shawn and Ashlee. Let the debate begin.
Well, hello friends, and welcome to this episode of Radio Free Professional Wrestling. We are a mere under 24 hours after AEW Dynasty, one of the best pay-per-views I have personally seen in a while, and we need some extra help. So I reached out to Kimmy Sokol of the Pod Break and the Bob Culture podcast to come on here and help us break down this massive card, which featured 3 matches in 0 hour, easily 10 matches in the main card. And the main card literally went off the air around midnight Eastern. So ladies, how do you think about the card 24 hours later?
It was a show. I don't know if I was supposed to go first, because you were like introducing me, so I was like, okay, I'll go. Happy to be back here. But yeah, Dynasty, what a show! If you watch the Scrum, Tony Khan had said it was his favorite show he put on, but Tony Khan says that about every show he puts on. So, are you gonna believe him now, or are you gonna believe him when he says it again at Double or Nothing next month? But yeah, it was an enjoyable. This was a double pay-per-view weekend. Don't forget, Rebellion was on Saturday, and that was an amazing show as well. But yeah, Dynasty. Great job, Tony Khan.
Yeah, agreed. It is great to have you back, Kimmy. This card was actually kind of insane and had probably one of the best openers I've ever seen, maybe. And then along with, it's already being talked about, and I know it's recency bias, but be damned, it is. It's one of the best wrestling matches I've ever watched. Bryan Danielson and Ospreay, of course. But a lot of good wrestling on this card, and at least we seem to have some direction for a lot of people coming out of it, was kind of what's most important. And we have at least some set paths here.
You know, Ashley, that's the one thing I love about the outcome of this pay-per-view is the fact now there's so many options coming out of AEW Dynasty that we can probably have a good summer of professional wrestling with AEW. And I got my fingers crossed. So with that being said, let's go to the first 0 hour match as we have Trent Beretta versus Matt Sydal. This basically was to cement Trent Beretta as a heel, and I got a feeling that come Wednesday night on Dynamite, we finally get the answer from Chuck Taylor. Is he with Beretta, or is he going to go solo? How do you feel about this match?
I thought this was going to be a squash, to be honest, only because, like you said, this was to cement Trent as a major heel. Sydal really doesn't appear on AEW. He appears more on the sister promotion, Ring of Honor, where he could somewhat pick up wins, but really can't. So I really didn't think it was going to be like that long of a match. And what I didn't find, or what I found out later on AEW socials, is yesterday was actually Sydal's 25th anniversary in the professional wrestling industry. They had shared a promo that he cut backstage. His brother was there and his parents were there because he is also from St. Louis, which is probably the reason he was given this match in the first place. But other than all that, I thought this was really good, and I want to see Sydal more. Don't just use him in Ring of Honor and in St. Louis. You could actually use him to do more things and put on good matches. And I do love that they're not just putting like the Trent Chuck feud on like Rampage or Collision. They're putting it on the main show. They're putting it on Dynamite because they want you to know how important this is going to be and how intense this is going to be. And whatever, because I'm assuming we're going to have a stipulation match for Trent and Orange at Double or Nothing. Whatever stipulation it is, it's going to be absolutely incredible. And I'm so excited for when that match takes place.
So my question to you, Ashley, is come Wednesday, does Chuck Taylor decide to go with his tag team partner, or do we see the split of the best friends?
I don't know. I feel like Chuck may join him. It kind of felt that way when Trent was backing out of the ring and kind of screaming at Chuck when he was like, you make the choice, you make the choice. I feel like this influence that Trent is sort of having is, I also feel like, what may influence someone else who is also a member of the Best Friends coming soon.
See, I'm feeling you, Ashley, because I got a feeling that Orange Cassidy is going to be the one person on by himself as a face in about 2 to 3 weeks from now. I got a feeling. But this match was really good. It gave Trent Beretta what he needs to launch his heel character, and I love the submission finish. He needs to keep that submission finish because it looks good.
The one thing I didn't like though is that they didn't give him a new theme. He kept the best friends theme, which I thought was so stupid because like this is a whole new character and he wore his best friend's gear, his best friend's intro music, his best friend's Titantron. Little confuzzling, if you ask me.
That's a fair point, Kimmy. I just hope they go in the direction to give him all new stuff. And honestly, this is the problem here. You're going down this hill road with Trent Beretta. You should have this stuff already made, already ready to go.
True.
Okay, so we're watching Trent Beretta walk up the ring, and Orange Cassidy music plays, and he walks out, and he stands guard between both tunnels, daring Trent Beretta to come at him as Chuck Taylor's still in the ring. And we're left to wonder, are we going to see a little action here? Or, wait a minute, no, it's Shibata coming out with his music. Now the two baby faces against the one heel. Trent Beretta, being the smart heel here, decides to exit stage left. And we get probably it's hard to say. I want to say this is my favorite 0 Hour match. It's Orange Cassidy Shibata versus Shane Taylor Promotions. And Lee Moriarty is the star of this match.
I was really happy when STP got like the mini call. I want to call it a mini call up because like we kind of saw this with the infantry where they got called up to Dynamite. And then they went back down to Ring of Honor. And I was like, damn, you guys were pushing them. You gave them a video package. I thought like we were going to do something here. But with STP, now that they have Anthony Ogogo, because we remembered we had him signed to the roster and we just kept him in the UK for a year and a half and paid him. And we're like, oh, wow, we really need to do something with him. So you put him here, which I want more of an explanation. It was kind of just really random that he just came out with Shane Taylor Promotions. But I agree with you. This was probably the better match on the 0 Hour, especially because what happened right after this with a certain person's rap. And I just love the team of Cassidy and Shibata. I mean, it just meshes so well. Oh, we'll get to the rap. I can tell by everyone's facial expressions we're going to get there. But Cassidy and Shibata, it just meshes so well. I mean, if Shibata would like to go get his pure title back in Ring of Honor, because our pure champion seems to be missing in action for months on months on months, I would recommend Shibata do that once he's done teaming with Orange.
Coming out of this match, Kimmy, I feel like Cassidy and Shibata should be going after the AEW World Tag Team titles. Or, hey, the Kingdom, you got Matt Taven, Mike Bennett. They need opponents. They can do some time on Ring of Honor, that other show that sometimes gets a mention, sometimes doesn't get a mention on AEW TV.
It got mentioned in the scrum yesterday. I was very impressed. Tony Khan, when he was talking about streaming, he talked about Ring of Honor and how he has the Ring of Honor library. That was a very big step for him. I applauded him from my house, many miles away from St. Louis, Missouri.
Acknowledging it is the first step.
I acknowledge.
Yeah, no, back to it. Hands down my favorite match on 0 Hour. I love playful, serious Katsuyori Shibata. Very into it. And if they are going to maybe have Chuck and Trent mess with Orange Cassidy for a bit, maybe Katsuyori Shibata kind of hangs around to back him up for a bit.
Very good call, Ashley. I do agree that is a possibility. And I just love the fact that this showcased Shane Taylor Promotions, and I wanted to see them do more with the guys. And yeah, like you said, Kimmy, we had Anthony Ogogo, and good-looking guy. I know we've been trying to protect him. That's why he hasn't been on TV a lot, but the dude can do some spots here. He could be the enforcer to the Shane Taylor promotion.
As long as there's no other weigh-in segment, just never do that again.
Very true. Fair point. We'll write that down for Tony. Make sure he remembers that one.
I'll let him know what the next scrub I'm at. I'll tell him. I'll be like, Tony, listen. just an FYI. Never do this again.
Okay, so let's move on to the third match, which I thought was going to be the original start to the 0 Hour, but it's actually the main event of the 0 Hour. It's our unification match as the ROH six-man title champions versus the AEW Trios champions. Now, our ROH six-man champions are no other than the Bang Bang Gang. It's Colt and Austin Gunn with Jay White versus the AEW Trios champions of Billy Gunn, Anthony, and Max Caster. And gotta say, Matt, you just did one line too many, and we have not learned to take the freaking mic away from him too soon.
I knew it was going to be bad when he went a cappella. I mean, was that not the sign to anybody?
That would have been my sign. That would have been me running down there, grabbing that mic, and being like Carl Lewis and sprinting up the ramp with the mic, going like, "You're done. Go do the match."
So my problem with this mainly is obviously the Bang Bang Gang never defended their 6-man titles on Ring of Honor besides Super Card of Honor. And they've been champions now since January, I want to say. So was this their solution to get rid of a Ring of Honor title, was to just combine them? Because we know they're never coming to Ring of Honor. We know they're just going to be on AEW TV. So you might as well just dip the 6-man titles and just call them the AEW Trios champions.
I'm with you 1,000%. I don't understand this. The men of Ring of Honor have like absolutely nothing to fight for right now. It's absolutely insane. I had like a mutual trying to tell me they don't have enough talent there to do this. Yes, they do. I cannot stress enough that yes, they do. Their inability to I don't understand this lack of focus of utilizing any of their teams, their trios, even the singles. Like what are you going to compete for when the Ring of Honor World Champion is always on a different brand?
He was on Ring of Honor this week, though. This was a big step. But I've been saying for months that the Top Flight and Action Andretti should be the 6-man champs on Ring of Honor for months, because they're always there. They're appearing every week in 6-man tag team matches, killing it. Or hell, put it on the Iron Savages and Jack Jameson, because you know that's going to be entertaining as hell too, with the sauce. You could have like the custom titles, and like I don't even know what you could do with it, but like that would be entertaining. Don't put it on people that aren't going to use it. And Tony Khan in the media calls like, oh, yeah, they'll appear on Ring of Honor. No, they won't. I know they won't. Stop giving me false hope, Tony. Get me so mad.
Just calling them the Ring of Honor champions isn't going to bring anybody to Ring of Honor. You have to put those people. If you want people on there, put Jay White on Ring of Honor. Do it for a month. You don't have to. He doesn't have to be there in Ring of Honor forever. But holy shit, people would pay $10 to be like, oh, I can get a month of Jay White Ring of Honor matches right now. Hell yeah, I'm in.
Ashlee, I'm just happy he got the victory. Do you know how much I had my fingers crossed during this match and my eyes closed thinking, oh, Jay White's taking the pin here. It's not going to be anybody else but Jay White getting the pin here. And I was like, wait, we get to see the Blade Runner on Billy Gunn, and he pins Billy Gunn. Thank you, your Lord. Jay White gets a victory.
I genuinely so happy they won, but I just came out of this match feeling kind of sad for Anthony Bowens right now.
Save justice for Anthony Bowens. Make it a hashtag. Man is suffering out here. Max, he really is. Like, I've seen so many people be like, put Anthony Bowens in the Owen Hart tournament and just let him shine. Because so many, like, I actually compare it a little bit to Daniel Garcia, not that I'm biased, because a lot of people, when Daniel was in the JAS, was like, oh, Daniel will never be anything. And then you put him in the Continental Classic and he showed you that he's more than a tag team wrestler. Like, he's more than the JS. He's more than 2.0. He can carry. And look what he's done this year. He got his huge win, or, you know, he had that little momentum towards the TNT title. He lost to Christian. But, like, he's showing you that he could be a wrestler. And so could Bowens. I'm not saying that he should win the Owen Hart tournament, but just put him in there. Have Max go home. No one, it's like Jericho. No one wants him here.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't understand that rap or the allowance of that rap, if I'm being very honest. You know, somebody had to look this over. This isn't the first time Max Caster has caused, you know, a hubbub with his rap. I don't understand. Like, it's not even that, like, it was bad and, like, at least some people were offended about it. It was also just, like, cringy bad. Like, it's also getting, like, painful to watch. Like, I don't know how we went from, like, such enjoyable little jabs to these weird, like, overdrawn, over-described kind of weird scenarios he gets into sometimes. I don't know if he's in his head. I don't know if somebody got him rattled, but maybe we need to drop this gimmick or something.
I agree.
Well, what I want to see on Dynamite is Anthony Bowens come down with Matt Caster, grab a steel chair, and turn on the dude, and we send him away for a while. And we can repackage Matt Caster into a non-rapping wrestler. Thank you, God.
That's all we want in life. Is it so hard?
Okay, so Zero Hour is covered. It was a good show. It got what I feel like a mixed reaction, but it at least gave you hope that this card was going to be freaking good. And thank you, Lord, because we got the first match being the AEW Continental Championship match. It's Okada versus Pac, and this was, except for Will Ospreay versus Daniel Bryanson, main match of the night because, oh my god, I love evil, laughing, smiling, flip you off Okada.
That was the best spot of the whole match. Everyone's like, oh my god, and then no. So I actually originally thought, and me and Shawn were talking about this before we started, I thought they were going to start with the ladder match because I feel like every time there's a ladder match on a show, it usually opens up a card because you know it's going to take the most amount of time, and you don't want to really cut a ladder match like time-wise because then like you don't get the full enjoyment of it. So that's what I thought they were going to start off with, but I'm kind of happy that they didn't start off because we got this. I thought that this was, well, I don't want to say it was Pac's best match because then people are going to be like, oh, but Kenny Omega and Pac, that happened many moons ago. Listen, someone's going to attack me for that. But I'm happy that Pac got a pay-per-view because I know that AEW at one point was scared that they were never going to get Pac back in the ring. And he got that huge standing ovation, which I thought was really interesting because I'm like, is he leaving again? We just got him back. Don't tell me he has visa issues again. But I love heel Okada. And now everyone's a champion. Okada, the EVP. It's a matter of time before we see Jack Perry get a title. It's a great day to be an EVP supporter.
Facts. I've gushed about Pac before because I love his selling is some of my favorite in all of professional wrestling. He's outstanding. This match was insane. Okada taken to the style like just like a fish in water. He looks outstanding on like TV week to week. The pay-per-view's outstanding. So obviously great, get for AEW. I kind of felt that way too at the end of the match that maybe he might be going somewhere. And we can't have that. I still need Pac versus Takeshita, and I have a whole list of other matches I need. So we need to I'm hoping this is maybe just like a turn for Pac. We haven't seen a full-fledged babyface Pac, really. He's babyface by default with the fans, but he does come out of the heel tunnel every time. And, does consider himself a bastard. But I would kind of maybe like to see a little bit of it, even if it's not so much like an anti-hero type of thing, but sort of like more embrace it than he normally would.
I love how they shoot the entrance of Pac as they're zooming the camera through the grates there as he's walking out, and he's just staring into your soul. And I'm going like, this is a star in the making. I knew he couldn't beat Okada because it's too soon to beat Okada. I want this to be the springboard to Swerve Strickland versus Pac because I feel like that could be a fun, entertaining match during the summer.
So my thing is, right, they talk about the rankings, but we don't have rankings, but we do have rankings. So I don't know what to believe anymore because, like, Tony says this. He said it on the Scrum. He talked about how, like, the TBS and the TNT title, they don't count in the rankings. It's only for the main championships. But when was the last time he put out the rankings? So, and then if you looked yesterday, for every single person that like was on the rankings, it said it in their like entrance little graphic, like fourth person on the rankings or third or whatever. And it's like, you don't tell us who's on the rankings. So I can't even say if Pac should be Swerve's first opponent because am I supposed to believe the rankings or not? I don't get it.
It shouldn't just be so hard to set ground rules for the championships, Like the TNT and the TBS, I get it. They have sort of always been an open challenge thing. Leave them as an open challenge. There doesn't need to be rankings, but you put out the rankings before with the TNT and TBS championships. So what are you doing? Like, you're confusing everybody. Just don't put it. You made more work for yourself. You didn't have to make those rankings.
This is literally why when he announced the rankings were coming back, I was the only one. I'm like, this is going to fail. Watch. They're like, well, you're being so negative. I'm like, no, sure enough. Oh my God, where'd the rankings go? Why did Tony Khan stop putting out the rankings? See, this is why I did not want the rankings to return. It's not thinking optimistically, it's thinking logically.
Very true, Kimmy. And I gotta say, my favorite part of this match was the fact that we saw Pac go for the Black Arrow twice. The first time he ate the canvas. And the second time, Okada puts his blades up and smack Pac. Yeah, right there. Smack right into the Rainmaker for the next move. 1, 2, 3. We keep Okada as the champion and we move on in the card of the night, and we're all in a good freaking mood. This pay-per-view has started off well. So our next match coming up after that feel-good match opener is the House of Black versus Adam Cole, Eddie Kingston, and Mark Briscoe. And Ashley, we were right. The House of Black got a victory. Can't believe it.
This is the one match I got wrong on the show. This is what I get for having hope in our Ring of Honor World Champion.
Yeah, no, very good match. And I feel like if House of Black didn't win this match, I feel like I genuinely don't know where they would have gone from here. That being said, I have to say Brody King still kind of outshines almost everyone on this team for me. Everything in ring, the way he gets the crowd into it, I just feel like he's kind of the star of this team.
I agree with you. I think it's also because out of the three of them, Brody has the most singles matches. Like, you're not often seeing a Malachi singles match or a Buddy singles match. You're always seeing Brody. I don't know what the reason for that is. I feel like there is a reason for it that we just don't know. But my problem with this match, besides the fact the TNT title was not defended on this show, which made me upset, and the fact that our Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion is somehow stuck in this storyline and can't show up for the show he's supposed to be on, I thought this match honestly was at times a little too long, and it took a while to get going. And like, I get it, like, to follow Okada and Pac, it was a difficult spot to be in, but like, these people they're not new. They've been doing this for a very long time. They're all veterans of wrestling. So I was just like, oh, maybe, like, come on, we could get there. I mean, also too, like I said, Buddy and Malachi don't wrestle as often, where Adam wrestles very often, Mark wrestles every week, Eddie also wrestles every week, so that could be part of it too. But I think Adam has sold the Mist better than anyone on the AEW roster. He sold it so perfectly, and I'm so intrigued because I know a lot of people said this on Twitter. Usually when you get sprayed by the Mist, you have a little character turn. So are we getting like a makeshift Brood Adam Copeland in AEW? Because that makes me very excited.
Well, I hope we hold off on that just for a moment, because I want to see babyface Adam Copeland versus Malachi Black in a singles match. Because watching this match, the stare down between these two guys, I was going like, I have hope for this match. This match needs to happen before both of these guys go somewhere else. But the biggest spot in this match is Adam Copeland doing a superplex on Brody King. And I'm like going, oh my freaking word, I just saw this. And I have decided that if we ever need somebody to face the aliens, we're sending Brody King.
I mean, he's like Cowboy Bob Orton. He's had a broken arm for God knows how long.
Yeah. I agree, though. They definitely could have cut a few minutes off this match for sure. And I think it also kind of feels that way too, because like Adam and Mark Briscoe have had issues with House of Black, but Eddie really didn't. He was just kind of like, I got my boys, you know. It's tough because House of Black has not been. They've kind of not lived up to what they've been built up to, and I don't think it's like necessarily their fault. Like you said, like Malachi Black is supposed to be this leader of this group, and he's not. It doesn't feel that way at all. I don't know if he's not being presented that way. I don't know if he's not taking the reins. I don't know, whose side it is, but when the leader is constantly not around, maybe cuts a promo once in a while, and his enforcer is always wrestling like singles matches, it just makes, like you said, like the enforcer has gotten over with everybody. Like his performance in the C2 like won everybody over.
I think the other issue too is like the House of Black is mostly on Collision, right? Like they're like, because I remember even I had an AEW talent tell me when the Collision was first announced, they're like, oh yeah, House of Black, they're the only people that I know are exclusive to Collision. They're not going to be on Dynamite. And I remember like thinking like, okay, like that could be good, but that could also be bad. And I feel like the problem is you have way more people watching Dynamite than Collision. Like people, and like again, I'm not blaming anybody for this, but like people go out on Saturday night. People have a life. Right? Like, if I'm not watching Collision, how the hell am I supposed to know what's going on with the House of Black? Because it's not like you're even showing it on Dynamite, like, highlights. So I feel like that's the other problem, too, is, like, most of the storyline took place on Collision, and you need to, like, highlight and show that for people who don't watch Collision.
Kimmy, you're so wise beyond your years. AEW needs to take a book out of the WWE playbook and do, like, a quick highlight of, hey, if you missed Collision, here's what happened, and just do it like a 90-second promo for Collision. That's all you need. It's so easy. It's so simple, but yet again,
what do I know?
I know, Kimmy, but if I had to vote, I'd be voting you for AEW president. Just saying.
Yo, you should tell that to Tony Khan. I'm sure he'd be thrilled to hear that. Someone half his age is going to take his job one day.
Well, you two ladies are talking about the leader of the House of Black. I don't think the leader of the House of Black is in this match that we just saw, because the leader of the House of Black was in the following match, as Julia Hart was defending her TBS championship against Willow Nightingale in the shortest match on the card last night. Okay, so if you were looking for a match where we could add some time to, this would have been the match I want to add some time to because these two ladies were just getting started to cook good. Kind of bittersweet to see Julia Hart lose her title. And just like you said, Ashley, we're kind of dreading the short-term title run for the babyface Willow Nightingale. How do you guys feel about it?
So the reason why the match was so short, and if you noticed the match on Wednesday, Julia's hurt. So she's actually going away to heal the injury. That's why she had all the KT tape on her shoulder. Because Wednesday, she didn't even take a bump in the mixed tag team match. That's why they did that whole thing where like Willow got attacked so Julia wouldn't have to take any spots. So I feel like that's why this match was so short, and it sucked because I feel like a lot of people were looking forward to like a longer Julia Willow match, because every time we've seen them, like whether it was like with Stat involved or like their tag team matches with Sky, like they've always had very good chemistry, but unfortunately because of the injury that this got nixed a little bit. But I was so happy that Willow finally got her moment. I mean, it was reported earlier this week too that like Chelsea Green was trying to push Willow to ask WWE for like a tryout, because like Chelsea and Deonna have been on Willow's train since day one, and to see her finally get that shining moment, her family in the front row. And I agree with commentary that Mercedes Moné tried to steal that moment away from her, and I understand why. It was for the feud, but my God, let the girl have her moment. But yeah, I feel like I can't rate this match because there was an injury involved. I feel bad because it's a real life injury, but very happy for Willow Nightingale and the Babe with the power to hold the TBS title. And even though it's a short reign, Tony was hinting that there's going to be some title matches on Dynamite and Collision. So at least she'll have some defenses before she gets to Mercedes at Double or Nothing.
Well, that's good to know at least. And yeah, that does suck. I actually found somebody mentioned that to me that they figured she was hurt on Wednesday because like when the mixed tag match thing started, I was like, no, like don't do this. Like as soon as they did the Willow angle, I was like, oh no, they either like pulled like a bait and switch kind of thing or somebody's hurt. And those are like the only two options and they both suck. So to like find out like Julia was hurt, that it definitely sucks because this has been one of the better built stories and better built matches that they've been going through for the past few months leading up to this match. And Julia just came back from an injury too, so to know that she's going to be out again with an injury also sucks. As Shawn said, she is like the leader of the House of Black. She is kind of like the most fundamental member right now. So again, like losing her again, I think also might hurt some momentum for the House of Black. So hopefully they'll at least keep them on TV while they're going through this with Copeland and stuff. But for Willow, this is fantastic. She deserves this and more. She's been killing it. And I said before we came on, I hate that she's going to be just a transitional champ to get it from Julia to Mercedes, but at least we know she's going to get some defenses. We know that she's going to go on to something better, or at least maybe get a rematch with Mercedes and win it back down the line. I see maybe her and Statlander breaking up though soon.
That's where I thought this was going, because at the beginning of the match, the stipulation that Willow chose was for Sky Blue and Chris Statlander to be banned from ringside. And that got me going, thinking, are we going to see Chris Statlander come down here and cost Willow Nightingale the match? That didn't happen, but I got a feeling that we're going to have Chris Statlander slide over to that hillside and join Chuck and Trent to make this anti-best friends club, for lack of a better name for this new group.
Yeah, someone pointed out that when Stokely and Statlander went to do like the best friends hug, that she was kind of like in the position like similar to like Trent was when he turned on Orange Cassidy, and it kind of had like that air of like, oh, will she turn on or will she hug her? And Trent did get his hooks into her a few weeks ago backstage and whispered something that we have yet to find out what it was. So I think Chuck's influence will be spreading through here to the rest of the former now best friends.
I feel like the best way to do it, and I feel like it'd be such full circle, because at Double or Nothing last year, that's where Stat returned. She had her huge moment, and she won the TBS title. So I feel like what they could do here, they probably won't, but at Double or Nothing, have Stat help Mercedes win, and then Stat cuts this awesome promo, and she's like, a year ago I came back and I had all the momentum, and then you came along and you stole that all from me, and you took the title that I had, and you got this huge match with Mercedes, and it was all about you, where it should have been all about me. Like, look what I've done in the past year. I sat in the back seat of your coattails. but now it's my time to show that like I could be like the next big thing on the roster. And even with that, like once you have that match, you can have her go after Tony or Jamie or whoever's going to be the women's champion. Like there's so much you could do with that if you do it there. Like I said, they're probably not going to do that, but if they do, smart thinking. You heard it here first.
Kimmy, I love your booking ideas. We need to get you to be the booker for AEW now.
Listen, I meet with Tony on a media call and I see him on a scrum every now and then. Someone's just got to introduce us.
Well, before we leave this match, we do want to send out a get well soon to Julia Hart. I can't wait to see her back in the ring because this was a great run for her with this TBS title. It did so much to build her up. You know, we keep talking about pillars in AEW. You can add Julia Hart to it. I mean, like we got Britt Baker, we got Julia Hart for the women to be the women's pillars there.
I feel like the switch from the cheerleader to the darker side was the best thing Julia could have done. And remember, that was her idea. She was the one that pitched it to Brody and Tony. And remember, if you look at that tag team, Griff is stuck in Ring of Honor in another tag team, and his tag team partner is in NXT. Who's to say that Julia would still be in AEW if she didn't pitch that idea of being with the House of Black?
Very true. She could easily be in NXT with Lexis King doing some kind of gimmick. Who knows? She could be rocking NXT as NXT's women's champion. Just saying. Okay, so we are 3 for 3. These matches are going by. It's an enjoyable pay-per-view. And we get to the international title. It's Roderick Strong versus Kyle O'Reilly. My first issue with Roderick Strong is, dude, you don't play lead belt. That's Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly is the lead belt player of the band. But this match was great, and this match was basically clean. I thought we were going to get some interference. We did see Warlord come down and basically try to get into the ring in front of the referee. We found out that Warlord was involved in an accident over the weekend, so he probably couldn't do that much physically. I enjoyed this match. I was okay with Roderick Strong winning it, but what do you do with Kyle O'Reilly now?
So I knew that Roderick was going to win just because I felt like it was so soon. Like he just won the title a month ago. And I feel like although, you know, you're trying to make up for almost 2 years of Kyle not being on AEW TV, I feel like it didn't make sense to have like a transitional champion and then give it to Kyle. And I feel like I understand Dynasty was a new event, but I feel like a Double or Nothing or maybe a bigger show would have made a better moment. Like if they were to run this back or Double or Nothing, I'd probably pick Kyle to win. But I'm so happy that my other friend, Adam Cole, could walk again. Sean Ross Sapp reported earlier in the week they took him off the road because it was slowing the process of his healing. And he walked, got out, ditched his wheelchair, kind of stared down Wardlow, kind of hinting that maybe Wardlow is going to be booted from the Undisputed Kingdom, which I don't blame him. I mean, he's not pulling his weight. He's the only one without a title that's like physically cleared to compete. But I don't think this is the end of this. I feel like they're going to run this back with Kyle. There's too much. Like he's embedded with like these guys from Ring of Honor forever. And especially now that Adam Cole might be returning to TV. No way.
Definitely. Ever since Wardlow lost that match with Samoa Joe a few weeks back, like Adam Cole has basically said, well, you had your shot and now you're going to be our guard dog essentially. And it seems like you said, like there wasn't really any interference. Wardlow didn't really get the chance to interfere. He got busted by the referee and got booted from the inside of the ring. And I think like Adam Cole staring him down is kind of just being like, you couldn't even do this right. Like, I gave you one job to protect these titles and you couldn't even do this right. Like Kimmy said, he's about to get ousted from this group. And I don't know if maybe that leads to maybe babyface MJF and Wardlow taking on Undisputed Kingdom.
His MJF was just announced for C2E2 this weekend. He's appearing Sunday. And AEW tends to have a little strict rule that you can't do appearances. If like you're out on injury, you can't really do appearances until you come back to AEW TV. So, I have a feeling we're seeing Max sooner than later. Unless Max just doesn't want to listen to rules, which, you know, I don't blame him. But I'm just saying, I think it's a coincidence that was announced today.
It could be, Kimmy. You know what we could do here, though? I was thinking about while you ladies were talking. We could boot Wardlow from the group, and we could put Kyle O'Reilly back with the band. And Kyle is the one that kicks Wardlow out of the group. Adam Cole goes like, you know what? You were just holding the spot for Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly has seen the light, and I have walked again. Praise the Lord. And now the band's back together, and we're going after all the gold.
I could see that especially because like Kyle O'Reilly's whole thing has been like, oh, I'm just coming back from this injury. I think I should do this on my own. I think maybe him losing this match could be like, oh, I can't do this on my own. I need my friends, and like that could lead him to swap in the way of thinking. Like we kind of got his big triumphant comeback now, and we're all, he's back, he's healthy. We saw him go toe to toe now, blow for blow with Roddy Strong. We know he's healthy now. I could definitely see him like making the choice now to join the group.
And then you get Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, and all your Ring of Honor hearts is just so full. Whoo! I love that.
We'll get there one day. What we can do is have Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly join forces and take the AEW tag team titles away from your beloved EVPs.
No, it's EVP time. Like, no, there has to be like a major baby face team to take the titles from the EVPs. Like I don't even care that the infantry is in Ring of Honor. If the infantry were the ones to take the titles, that is such a star-making moment. Like, that's what I feel like. It's got to be like the infantry or Private Party or Top Flight. Like, it has to be like a young, very baby face team.
Yeah, Shawn and I discussed just a few weeks ago, like what winning the tag titles did for Colton and Austin. It felt like nobody really took them seriously at all, and everybody complained when they were the champions. But like when they lost them, everybody was like, "Oh wow, the Guns are actually pretty good," And like I feel like the titles are what made people take notice. Build another team like that.
Exactly. Like, I also feel like too, like, I don't want it to be a makeshift team. Like, this is my problem with like the TNA Knockouts women's tag team titles. It's like every single team that goes after those titles is a makeshift team, and I feel like that degrades the value of the titles. I don't want that. I want, AEW is so their tag team history. Like, that's the one thing they said when AEW was created. It's like they want the best tag team division in wrestling. Keep that. Don't make a makeshift team. Although better than you, baby. Love them.
Yeah. That's our exception, and we are all okay with them being champions.
Run it back. I'm ready for it.
They can do that. I mean, I literally have all the music and all the artwork for our podcast. We can kick that back up again. No problem whatsoever. Just saying. Okay, we have hold off on this match as long as possible as we're going to the next match. Oh, my word. If we could have cut one match from this card, this would be the match I would cut from this card. This match lasted around 18 minutes and is the FTW title match, or what I like to call the WTF match of the night. Hook versus Chris Jericho.
Too long. Could have been on Dynamite. Wrong winner. And tell me Hook is going to go to WWE without telling me that Hook is going to go to WWE.
Honestly, if you didn't watch this match or watch this match just audio-wise, you would have thought this was Hook versus Ryback from the crowd reaction. You got Please Go Home, Please Retire, and the one that would throw you off was, oh, Fuzzy sucks. I mean, then you would have been like, oh, wait, it's a Jericho match.
I mean, I saw Fozzy perform in the Chris Jericho cruise. I didn't think they were that bad. But who am I?
I mean, I like Fozzy as a group, and I like Chris Jericho. I've been a Jericho longer you've been born, Kimmy. But it's time for him to go, to reinvent himself. And this was so wrong. You had the heel Chris Jericho push the father a Hook. Logic tells you Hook needs to come down here and beat the tar out of Jericho and send him packing.
I think the thing that confuses me, and I saw this on Twitter, is like if you were to look at like a lot of Jericho feuds, you could literally see how many careers he's physically held back in AEW. And that is so sad. I also saw this tweet, like someone like Bryan Danielson, who said like, oh, I'm here to elevate the younger talent. When was the last time Bryan Danielson won a singles match? He puts everyone over. Jericho, he wins too often. But he also said the reason he wanted to come to AEW was to put over the younger talent. So one of them is doing it right, and the other one is doing it wrong. The new FTW champion is doing it wrong. So I don't know. Like, I agree with you. This match could have been cut from the show. This could have been on the pre-show. It should have been on the pre-show.
That's where it should have been. I think I'm kind of done pussyfooting around with the Jericho stuff. Now he's getting on my nerves. I do love Chris Jericho and what he can bring. What he's bringing right now, though, it needs to go. This whole thing makes no sense. Like you said, Hook just squashed Jericho, a few weeks ago? Suplexed him and suplexed him and suplexed him and suplexed him. He has like extra motivation to suplex the ever-loving hell out of him. And nothing. Jericho does not need these wins at all. Like you said, he talks about putting younger talent over, and he does things here and there that I can see where he's coming from. Like, he had no reason to put over somebody like Action Andretti. He did it though, and he, like, when he's on commentary, I think he's fantastic at putting over like young opponents and things like that, like talking them up. But in the ring, it is not translating and it is not working. And this feels a little similar to like the Daniel Garcia stuff where he's like, come on, I'll teach you everything. And it's kind of like resistant at first. It sort of feels like a rehash, and it feels like something that, again, nobody asked for.
Oh, trust me, Ashley, nobody asked for this match. After you saw the end of the match, nobody in the planet would ask for this match.
Listen, I loved that one suplex through the table. I thought that spot looked crazy awesome. But like 18 minutes for this, like, I did not need that. I did not need that at all. Nobody did.
I literally got up, went downstairs, made me a sandwich, got me a drink, came back up, and went, oh my God, this match is still going on.
We've spent too much time talking about this, to be honest.
Fair point. Let's get away from the Jericho vortex before we get sucked into it. So we're moving on to the AEW Women's World Title match, and Toni Storm did the Lord's work here, trying to get the crowd back into this. And she may not have the best partner to do it with, but thankfully she kept her title. It's still Toni time. It was a decent match, right, guys? Decent match.
I mean, so the first thing is I felt so bad because Toni's gear was all white, and you could see throughout the match her gear was no longer all white because Thunder's makeup was getting all over it. So I really hope that Toni only planned on wearing that once because it got ruined in the match. But I mean that's not her fault. So I had to try to condone my behavior and be really nice here. So I wasn't really looking forward to this match because of her opponent. However, I thought Thunder did what she could. It was sloppy at times. There were things I was pointing out, and I was like, that's a little rough. Oof. And like Shawn said, I don't think Toni had the best partner to do this with. I was happy Deonna got involved. I thought we were going to get Jamie, or I thought we were going to get Britt, because what do we do with Toni next? I know Deonna got involved. I'm still awaiting Deonna's real best friend to help her in this storyline, because it's not Thunder. It's Thunder's enemy. It's my very good friend whose birthday is I don't know when this is getting released, but we're recording this on Monday, so her birthday's
the same zodiac sign.
I mean, her birthday's tomorrow, so I'm waiting. I am deprived of I haven't even seen her since October of 2023 in person. I am so deprived.
Listen, I love Britt Baker, and I want her back.
So I have a feeling. I think we see her Wednesday. I feel like Jacksonville, because like that's where her character was made. I feel like Deonna's like, I can't take out Mariah by myself, and I need my real friend here. And then Britt comes out, and I'm like, finally. And then I'm gonna text her and be like, thanks for telling me you were coming back. I wasn't prepared. Thanks for the little nod. But this match, they did the best they could, and I loved Deonna's bodysuit. It looked very pretty.
But I'll say, we're all looking forward to Toni versus Mariah May, right?
I don't know when that's happening, but I'm looking forward to that too. That's why Toni Storm. That's why she left the scrum, because somebody said that Mariah, I think, was like number 1 in the rankings, which I don't know how true that is, because how often do we update them? And then the person was like, are you gonna wrestle Mariah since she's number 1 in the rankings? And she stormed out. So guess we're getting that sooner than later.
I thought it was a very good spot there. I thought maybe that was planned there in the scrum. So hey, you know what? Good. At least they did something with it. And down the road, we can have Mariah May versus Toni Storm. So we're heading on to probably everybody's favorite match of the night. And oh my word, it's Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson. And before we got on air here, me and Kim were talking about there's one spot that should be retired from Bryan Danielson's repertoire of moves. Please do not sound like you're dead after an opponent hitting you with a Tiger Driver. And I know Will Ospreay said at the scrum he's returned this move. I'm just happy that Danielson was good. This match rocked. And I'm going to try to convince you two ladies, I know 5 matches that could challenge this for the best match ever.
Can we talk about how I was only born for half of those?
We could get there. Okay, my favorite spot of this match is Ospreay staring down Danielson, and they're looking for the hidden blade. He misses, and you get the cycle knee. That was cool as hell. Great spot. Love that spot.
So, the one thing I did like was, so I was there at Grand Slam 1, where it was Kenny and Brian, and I had the hour draw. And before the bell rang, you had the whole crowd give a standing ovation because you knew you were about to see something special. And I remember I looked at my dad and I go, like, this is the biggest thing we've ever seen, like this. And we've been to WrestleMania. We were at the New Japan Ring of Honor show at MSG. We've seen it all, but I'm like, this is something special. And they recreated that last night, and that was absolutely insane. I have gone on record to say I am not the biggest Will Ospreay fan because he is very mean to my favorite wrestler, Seth Rollins. Very, very mean. So I can't say that this is my favorite match ever just because Will was in it, but I will say that they did a very good. I know I'm the worst, but I thought they did a very good job. I thought honestly the injury spot just ruined it. I feel like that just put a damper on it because people just did not know if he was selling or if it was fake or real, and you had everyone worried. And I think the worst part was like Sammy got suspended because he did that thing to Jeff where they like we talked about this the last time where like he continued the match when the ref said to stop, and you played that spot into a match. Why did you think that was right? You suspended someone for doing that, and now you're just playing it off. Like that just didn't sit right with me. I understand like Sammy's not the most well-liked person, but there was just something like that you did that didn't sit right with me. And I just felt like it just like put a damper on it. Like I understand it's storyline. We're going to see this again. We'll probably see it at Forbidden Door, but I just felt like it ruined what could have been a very magical moment.
Fair enough. I saw a lot of people kind of complain about that, and I get it. Just knowing what I know of Bryan Danielson, I was concerned for about a second, and then I was like, oh no, he's selling in his Bryan Danielson way of selling. So like I was like, okay. I was like, at least he's okay, because I didn't even think about that. I guess I do understand like the being upset about it, and it was sort of played off as like Will Ospreay saying he didn't see the referee call for the doctor and stuff like that, which honestly would have been true because I think during the spot when he calls him over, Ospreay is turned to the crowd, so he wouldn't have seen Bryce call for the doctor. But guys, I loved it. I loved every single second of it. My two top wrestlers from last year having a match this year.
See, Ashley, I'm with you. I was like Kimmy. I thought it was a good match until the end, and it took the air out of the room because I'm thinking, is he really injured? Is he really injured? To stay on this too long. And I'm just happy that that's not true.
The Danielson Garcia match was like 2 years ago when Danielson was like selling throughout the match, like where they kind of had to keep stopping. And like, that's where I kind of learned my lesson. I was like, no, he's selling and I'm not falling for this again.
I honestly think it was because I watched it with my dad, and my dad goes, he just broke his shoulder. And I'm like, no. And he goes, no, he broke his shoulder. And I'm like, well, so I think that was the problem.
It is weird because like watching it back, it looks like it lands perfectly fine. So if something happened, like it must have been like a dislocated shoulder or like something like that. But I thought like looking back at it, like I saw the move now multiple times. It looks like it lands perfectly, like flush, like on his back. It doesn't look like he like lands awkwardly or anything. So I'm hoping he's good. But like you said, who knows? I don't know why he chooses to sell like this.
And like I said too, like I know this is going to lead to a second match. It's probably going to happen in Forbidden Door, but there was other ways to build to a second match. That was not this.
Very true, Kimmy. Now, before we go from this match, allow me to do my 5 matches here. Ashley, you can say yay or nay if you think this is a adequate match that could be on the level or above this Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson match. My first nomination for you is HBK versus The Undertaker from WrestleMania 25 and 26. I know I picked 2 matches, but you need both matches to tell the full story. And I gotta say, story-wise, better than Ospreay Dragon.
I don't know. I'm very tough on my old Undertaker loving self. I think for me, because a lot of these matches were also when I was very young, I think would probably be the closest.
Okay, let me move to my next selection. This one's a little older. It's the retirement match of Ric Flair from the WWE. It's HBK versus Flair. In the match where HBK looks at Flair and goes like, I love you, but super kick, goodbye, retirement, quote unquote retirement.
Yeah, not for me. Also because like it didn't end Ric Flair's career. He's still trying to like politic for a match.
I know, but it was just a great match at the time. I put it on the list. Okay, fine. My next selection, Rock v. Hogan from Toronto. It's the match where they decided to flip the script because Toronto became Hulkamania town.
I was 7 months old for this, guys. Just putting that out there. I was 7 months old when this match took place.
I can't help, Kimmy. You missed such a great match. You
I'm
should
sorry.
go watch it on YouTube.
Or Peacock.
Listen, Kimmy said she wouldn't put that as her favorite match of all time because of Ospreay. I would not put that as my all-time match because of Hogan.
That's a fair comparison.
Sorry. Hogan has never done anything for me.
Okay, ladies, fair point. I'll take it. For In the Ring, at the time, this was one of my favorite matches in my mid-20s, I want to say. Mid-20s? We'll say mid-20s. Okay, we're going back even further in time because my next selection was when I was a kid, and it's Ric Flair versus the Dragon. And I'm saying the Dragon and Ricky Steamboat, the trilogy, the set of matches that a lot of older professional wrestling fans would show anybody and say, this is why you should be a professional wrestling fan.
That could be up there, though.
And I would say it would take all three of them to match this Ospreay versus Danielson match. It would take all three of the trilogy to come close, to be a fair point. And yes, this is probably way before Kimmy's time. To be fair.
Truthfully, I think Ric Flair and Steamboat is like, what year was that?
It was in the mid-80s, the 1980s.
Like a few years before my time. So I've seen them, but I was also very young when I saw them.
Oh, here's a fair point for you. I didn't see these ones live. I'd seen the replays later on, but because this was before me starting being a professional wrestling fan. I didn't become a professional wrestling fan until like 89, 90. So that one I didn't see. The last one is also one I didn't see live, and it's Savage versus Steamboat. Because this is the other match that a lot of older wrestling fans would go to. Anybody go like, you want to watch a match to make you a fan? Steamboat versus Savage from Mania.
I think that could be a fair one. The
only way this kind of not equals Danielson versus Ospreay is the finish because it's kind of wonky because you get Georgiana's Animal Steel distracting Marshall Man Randy Savage and gives the babyface Steamboat a chance to get the victory. But those are my five. And Kimmy just looked at me like I'm from a different planet and a different time.
I mean, I think the only match I've seen on that list was I've seen two. So I saw HBK and Flair and at WrestleMania 24, and then I watched HBK and Taker at WrestleMania 25.
And you want to know how annoyed I was that wasn't a trilogy? Because I went to WrestleMania 27 hoping that would be on the card.
But 26, they had the stipulation that Shawn was going to retire.
I know, but I got my tickets before the stipulation dropped.
We just talked about Flair.
I mean, yeah, but he kept his word until Saudi decided to write him a very big paycheck.
Ugh, what a
I was in school watching that match. I was
so bad.
I was a senior in high school, and I watched that match in class. And my teacher was like,
everything that could go wrong
went wrong. My teacher was like, "Are you watching a pay-per-view right now?" I go, "Of course not. I'm paying attention."
Okay, ladies, we are down to our final two matches of the evening, and it's time for the AEW Tag Team Title match, the match that had to go after Ospreay and Danielson. And I got to say, the EVPs and FTR decided, hey, we're going to try to match this match we just saw. And my craziest spot in this match was the pile driver spot that almost went wrong. I was happy they were okay, but hey, I finally got Jack Perry interfering in a match. I mean, granted, I thought it would be the opener, but I guess I got 50% right, Ashley?
I kind of had said a few weeks ago that like I kind of wasn't as interested going into this like for the fourth matchup, kind of because I felt like we'd kind of had like a natural conclusion. There wasn't really anything. We were just kind of like relying on the history to bring us into it. But as much as people didn't like it, I think the twist sort of worked, like trying to get the Jack Perry stuff involved into it. I think a lot of people won't want to admit now that it has sort of worked because we saw the reaction Jack Perry got at Windy City Riot and now kind of returning here. I'm pretty excited to see what he does. It's going to be up to him to carry this momentum that I believe the Bucks are trying to give him with this. So it'll be interesting over the next few months.
So I felt bad for whatever match did have to follow Ospreay and Danielson, not just because of like the hype level for it, but of course because of the injury spot. And if you know Dax Harwood, you know he is one determined person to make sure that you leave a stadium saying that his match was one of the best on the card. So you knew he was going to try to match the level of Danielson and Ospreay. And I felt like they did that. I'm a little concerned because when Matt took the spot through the ladder, I think it was the pile driver, like he didn't do anything else in the match. Like he just sat on the outside. So I was a little concerned if he got like hurt or like if that I don't know if that was supposed to happen because it was like 10 minutes or like I'm over exaggerating, maybe 5 to 8 where like he didn't do anything. It was just Nick and then he came in to grab the title.
Is that when Dax pile drove him on the ladder that was like from the ring to the
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Like I'm not saying like something happened. I think Dax like when he went to kick out his leg, it looked like it got stuck for a second. So I don't know if maybe he just didn't come down the right way or something. It just like it looked like kind of awkward from the angle that they showed it at. So I don't know if something happened, like you said, because it was kind of like a weird long time where he just wasn't popping back in at all.
So that's why I was worried. And I was like, oh, did they call an audible? I don't know. But I agree. And they talked about some of the scrum too, that they got crapped on for weeks, that they showed that all in footage. But guess who had the loudest pop of the night was Jack Perry in this match because they showed that footage. And if they didn't show it, I don't think they would have. Because Tony said this best. The last time we saw Jack in storyline wise was his match at Wembley. And we haven't seen it. And if you're not on social media and you're not following New Japan, you have no idea that he's been there for months and he showed up and he ripped his AEW contract. So that's the other thing. You had to inform the casuals who need a video package every single time they need something explained to them where he's been. So that's why they did it.
Yeah, I get that too. And I saw like a mutual of mine like tweet out like when it happened, like they're trying to build a character based on something that, like you said, most people don't know. Like they're not like us. Like we're all like obsessed with wrestling and we're all in every aspect of it. Like there are a lot of people who are not on social media reading about, you know, the injury list or, you know, these updates here or what's going on for these plans here. So to kind of bridge that disconnect from the people who don't pay attention to the people who are watching on a weekly basis is to show, hey, this happened. It sucks it happened. It sucks for everybody involved, but it's been talked about on, you know, a big platform. So just like, here's the tape. It didn't feel like as malicious as like, I feel like even the Young Bucks were sort of hinting at, like I told Shawn, I feel like even the Young Bucks sort of like, you got to sort of play it up a bit to like get people talking about it and interested. But I don't feel like they were like, oh, CM Punk is lying and this is going to be a definitive proof he's lying. You know, like I don't feel like it was intended to be that way. And I think the only real response was what the Young Bucks said back.
And I also feel like they wouldn't have shown the tape if CM Punk didn't allow them. I have a feeling that they reached someone, I'm not saying it was Tony, but an AEW lawyer reached out to Punk and said, hey, we're showing this to do this. Are you okay with it? And I feel like not a lot of people understand that either.
I think you're right, Kimmy. I feel like Tony would not risk that move unless he knew it was cool on the other person's part.
I feel especially too, like after Kenny Omega has said that him and Punk have spoken, especially after like the brawl out situation and like, while not being like besties or anything, like they seem okay, you know, they're not like angry at each other anymore. So I feel like the wrestling fans take it too far. Like they go further than the people involved do.
Fan is short for fanatic, and sometimes you get that other bad side of the coin when you talk about fans and how they carry on about stuff. All I want from this coming forward is Jack Perry to come out to Cry Me a River by Justin Timberlake this one time. If not, can we get something close to it? That's all I want.
Mikey Ruckus, come on, come up with some song where it's like a medley kind of version of like Cry Me a River, or like some song where you can like sample Cry Me a River in there. Come on.
That'll be his entrance to Double or Nothing. It'll be a live Justin Timberlake performance.
We're just blowing the budget for Tony now.
Hey, the man has an unlimited checkbook. What's the point of having one if you can't use it to your advantage?
She's got a point.
Actually, she has me there, yes, and I kind of want to see a live Justin Timberlake concert in the middle of Tony's show now. Yeah, okay, sure. Sign me up.
Sean's like, checkmate. All right.
So listen, when you clip this show, then you're gonna post a clip on social media. This is the one you clip, and then you tag Tony Khan and you tag Justin Timberlake, and we're gonna start a whole thing.
Dude, that's sort of.
Come on, like, what is he doing really nowadays? Come on.
I mean, he talked about this on the Scrum, like, the draft is this weekend. He's gonna run back and forth between doing Collision and doing the draft, but I'm sure he has time in between that. In his golf cart ride, he could call.
He doesn't sleep, so come on.
Okay, ladies, we are down to the last match of the night, and it's the world title match. And I gotta say, me and Kimmy were talking about earlier before we got on air. It didn't feel like 18 minutes. It felt like longer. It was a great match. And I gotta say, they pulled the trigger at the right time. I was worried coming into this match, they would not pull the trigger on Swerve Strickland as champion. And coming out of that Ospreay Danielson match, my mind was going, hey, you know what would be cool is we can keep Samoa Joe as champion to All In London, and Ospreay takes the title off of Samoa Joe at London. And the last picture of All In is Will Ospreay being victorious in his home country, holding up the AEW World title. Well, I get the next best thing of Swerve being a champion, so I'm still happy. How you ladies feel about it?
So I agree with you. That was also my fear going into this. It was like they weren't going to pull the trigger with Swerve. And I remember when we were going into Revolution and everyone was complaining about this triple threat match, I go, the reason they're doing a triple threat match is because you had to give Swerve this title match because he's so hot right now, but he can't lose, but he can't win yet because Joe just won the title. And it would kind of be a slap in the face to Joe of like him only holding it for a couple months. So that's why you had to kind of
know what Joe has done and did for them and kind of understand the title reign a little more.
Exactly. So you had to stretch it out a little bit, which is why they extended to Dynasty, and that's why, he finally got his one-on-one match. And I was very happy that Swerve won. I felt like he absolutely deserved it. And when people say like, oh, AEW doesn't make homegrown talent, Swerve was in a tag team, right? Like, Swerve was in Battle Royal. And if you would have said from like his debut, like, oh, in 2024, he'll be carrying the company, I don't think anyone would have believed you. But he made you believe. He made you believe in every single thing he did. And he made it feel important. From like the stuff with the Mongol Embassy to his tag team with Keith Lee. He's now standing here carrying the brand, carrying the company. He made history as the first African-American World Heavyweight Champion. And Shawn, just because Joe might not be wrestling Ospreay for the title does not mean that Swerve Strickland can't wrestle for the title and defend it against Will. And you can still have your moment with Will winning the title at All In. Because that's what I feel like is going to happen, unfortunately.
But Kimmy, I don't want Swerve to lose the title that soon now. Now I'm trapped and torn. I'm torn between my two favorites.
I agree, but I just feel like I don't know. I mean, unless they're gonna do like Brian, but then like Brian's supposed to be retiring like in the next couple months, so I don't know anymore. But I feel like if it's not the world title, Ospreay has to wrestle for a title at Forbidden Door. Not Forbidden Door, All In.
The Continental title, if Okada's gonna like elevate it, could be like a good place.
Ooh, Okada versus Ospreay in London for the Continental title. True. I mean, I wish they'd put these titles around and Okada was the international champion and you have Okada versus Ospreay for the international title. That would make sense. But this match was this all get out. And we see Swerve Strickland kick out of a muscle buster. And they on commentary, they say people don't ever kick out of a muscle buster. And it's been forever since I've seen somebody do it. And that was just so crazy and great. And I'm happy he's a champion now.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's been waiting, so I'm kind of excited to see where he's going to go from here. And I'm kind of hoping that as I'm a little scrolling here that we can kill two birds with one stone with the recent set of tweets that have come out since we've been on the air, which is Anthony Bowens has reminded everybody he was the last person to pin Swerve Strickland at a pay-per-view and has kind of thrown out the challenge, and Swerve responded with a gift that says challenge accepted. So like, let's kind of kick off a Bowens showcase here with a match against the newly crowned Swerve Strickland and go from there.
But knowing AEW, they're just going to be like, it's going to be on Dynamite in like 2 weeks.
Kimmy, no, Kimmy, no. Ashlee, this sounds like the main event of Collision coming up this weekend. Let's go.
You know what? That's a better point. It's 3 hours. It's 3 hours this week. They need something to fill the 3 hours.
Yeah, and that would that could fill a lot of time.
So, you know what? Actually, the one thing I didn't get in this match when I was doing the pick contest with you was, remember I was saying we thought Heyman would come down here and cost Strickland the title opportunity so we could boot this down the road just a little bit more. We didn't get it. We had no Heyman. So coming out of this, is Heyman Adam Page the first challenger for the new champion?
I have no idea. As somebody who Hangman is my favorite wrestler, I'd be hard pressed to tell you anything about what he's doing anymore. The big disappearances are, I think, hurting him quite a bit. I don't want the moment taken away from Swerve, but I also kind of wanted the story to continue with these two because they sort of tapered off, and I thought this would have been like a really good point for them to kind of come back together. But I don't know what Hangman's dealing with in his life. Like, it certainly seems like something has kind of taken him away for now. So I don't know if he's still dealing with whatever. I hope everything's good. And I hope he can kind of come back and be on TV a little more consistently. That way we can kind of get behind him in the way I would like to as a fan.
I agree with you. I mean, I know that it was reported that he was taking time off because of a personal issue, and that they were even scared that he wasn't going to make Revolution. So it made me kind of believe like maybe like his wife was expecting another child, and like maybe that was it, and maybe they didn't know if like she was going to go into labor during the pay-per-view, but that wasn't really reported, and I don't want to speculate that of someone's personal life. Right. But that was my first instinct, so maybe that is why he's been out for a long period of time. If it's not that, then I honestly don't know what it is. But I think, yeah, like him not being on TV consecutively, it's like, what do you do with him? And the other thing, like, I would have such a problem if they redid this, because Swerve has been so dominant in that feud. I don't think it makes sense for that match to happen. I need Page to like go on like a winning streak and him be number one in the rankings for them to have that match. I know they have a feud, but still, I need Page to get some moment.
Crazy heel, you know, like he's going to have to be the heel in it from this point. That's why I also kind of figured he would come back, because like it would screw Swerve just for a little bit longer, but it would give Hangman the edge of what he needed to become the massive heel they're going to need him to be against the babyface Swerve Strickland. So, like, if it's his family, obviously, you take all the time you need. Like, obviously, that stuff always comes first. But if it is something that, you know, like, maybe he could have pushed off or something, like, it doesn't sound like it, though, like you said, with, you know, they were worried he wasn't even going to make the previous pay-per-view. So, I don't know. It's tough, and he comes in, he has, like, a great feud, and then he takes off for months. But it's tough to connect him to anything going on in the AEW world because he's kind of in and out so free.
Well, ladies, coming out of this pay-per-view, if you had to suggest it to a friend to watch again, would you suggest it to a friend to watch again? What matches will you say watch? What matches will you say you don't need to? Kimmy, you want to go first?
Jericho. Do not watch Chris Jericho. Honestly, I would say the TBS Championship match too, just because it was really short, and I felt like besides Willow winning, there was no like monumental like moments in that. I would say definitely watch the ladder match. Definitely watch Okada Pac. If you want to see your heart get broken, you could watch Bryan and Ospreay, because you could get very scared like everyone else did with the injury spot. But I think for the moment and just seeing how emotional Swerve got, watch that main event, because it is the epitome of if you work hard, you can accomplish your dreams. And that's exactly what Swerve did.
Exactly. From Killshot to his time in WWE to now a AEW World Champion.
If we can get this match going, like if we can start off, oh my God, somebody is in here in my mention suggesting Roosh versus Swerve. Let's get that going. Where's Roosh? Bring him back. Let's get this right now on my TV.
He said he's cleared. He was injured. He said he was cleared, so I guess he's just waiting on creative. So come on, Tony.
That's some creative.
Well, I got a feeling that we just need to send you two ladies down to Jacksonville and allow you to book the next couple of months of AEW TV. So, Kimmy,
we got ideas. I still need Danielson versus Angelico. It hasn't happened, but like we can make it happen.
So, Kimmy, where can we find you on the Super Information Superhighway?
So, that is such a beautiful like graphic. Oh my God. Wow. So you can follow me on Twitter at Kimmy_Sokol. Actually, before this started, I had announced that WrestleCon is coming to Cleveland. You thought we were just running one show this year. We're running two. We will be there SummerSlam weekend on Friday and Saturday. So if you want to go check out hotel information, you can go to WrestleCon.com. If you want to follow me on Instagram, you could follow me at Kimmy.Sokol. And then I haven't been really active on YouTube because I've been super busy. But if Ring of Honor episode on Thursday is pretty good, I might review it on my YouTube channel. But you could also see my reviews every Thursday on PW Insider. I write a very descriptive review of how much Tony Khan breaks my heart every Thursday from 7 to 8:30. And if you want to see me review any other type of wrestling, you could head over to the Pop Break. I'm reviewing Dark Side of the Ring, NXT, TNA, and any content that comes along my way. And thank you guys so much for having me. I had a very good time.
And Ashley, where can we find you in this great information super highway?
I'm on Twitter. It's at groovy_ash_, and on there I have my other socials. But no, it was great to have you back, and this was a lot of fun.
I gotta say, this is just such a beautiful friendship that we're building with Kimmy here. I just enjoyed the fact that we have come together with the love of professional wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, until we see you again on Radio Free Professional Wrestling, stay stunning.
Christina here. On behalf of the guys, thanks for listening. Like the show, do us a favor and share it with a friend. Have a stunning question or just want to chat? Email it to the show at radiofreeprowrestling@gmail.com. Until next time, this has been Radio Free Pro Wrestling. Stay stunning.